Hello and welcome to Craft Time at HMNS. It's also going to be science-based because that's what we do here too. My name is Kelsey. I'm the Assistant Director of Youth Education here, and today's activity is one of my personal favorites. We are going to be making shaving cream marbled papers. So in order to see what we have to use today, we're going to be using shaving cream. Again, you want that kind of bubbly stuff, none of the gel. It doesn't really work as well. We're also going to be using food coloring, or if you happen to have it, liquid watercolor. It stains a little bit less, but food coloring will work just as well. It's probably something that's much more readily available in your pantry. We're gonna use things like toothpicks and popsicle sticks. It's always great to have a work surface, so in our case, it's an old baking pan that we don't use for food anymore, so it'll be good for this project. And then some papers. I have one that's ready to make into a card, and I also have a bat cut out of cardstock as well. You can use regular paper, but cardstock's a little sturdier, so it'll work pretty well. So let's get started. We're going to make a nice little mountain of shaving cream over here, roughly about the size of what you're working with. So because I'm using a bigger thing over here, I'm gonna have a bigger area on this side. Then I'm gonna add a couple drops. I like to use 2 colors. You can be a little crazy and use more, but you don't really need too many drops of colors because we're gonna be mixing it up. I use red and yellow because it's fun to talk about color mixing as well. And it's gonna look something like this. We have like nice little colors hanging out here. That's about all. So our shaving cream is actually hydrophobic. And what we mean by hydrophobic is it means it doesn't like water. Since our colors are made out of water, they're gonna be sitting and resting on the top of our shaving cream. So we're gonna take and make a cool design. And so I like to do some swirls. The key is to not overmix. If you overmix, then you end up with just one solid color. Since I have yellow and red, I would end up with just an orange piece of paper, which can be nice and helpful, but probably not what you're looking for in this case. So I've swirled it up nicely like this, and I'm gonna set this to the side and show you kind of what I got to work with right here. So all of that color is sitting at the top. I have to use something different to kind of soak it up, and that's where our paper comes in. So we'll start big. We'll start with our big piece of paper here. And I'm just going to place it on the surface, roughly in the area that I want the design. So if I have a really cool area, I might focus it on that section. If it's kind of all really cool, which in my opinion it is, I'm gonna just kind of do it all over the surface. And I'm just gonna go tappa, tappa, tappa. You don't have to smush it down super hard. Then I'm gonna pull it off, and it kind of looks like this, nothing crazy yet. And you're gonna take a scraping device. In my case, it's a popsicle stick, but you can use whatever's kind of flat. And you're just gonna scrape the excess off. And when you scrape the excess off, it's okay if you're not perfect, because neither am I. It's gonna end up looking a little bit like this. Now, it may look like it's still wet. It is a little bit damp from where the watercolor is, but you'll notice I can run my fingers over it and it's stuck in place. So that that color is actually in the water, and that water is actually in the paper, so it makes a really cool design that you can keep using. Now, I wanna do more than one design because that's kind of where we're at. So I'm gonna take my leftover shaving cream, and I may add maybe a couple more drops of color, because there's no reason to waste in this case. You'll notice I'm getting a little bit messy. That's okay, that's kind of the fun part about it. Luckily, none of this is too bad to work with or too bad for cleanup. So I'm gonna do some swirls again in here, make some really cool red marks, leave that on the side, and I'm gonna do the same thing, but with my bat this time. Again, find that cool spot that you wanna work with, tappa, tappa, tappa it in place, lift it off, scrape off the extra, and with something like this, I might scrape off one half first, and then like take some extra off there, scrape off the other half second, whoop, and you're gonna end up with something that looks a little bit like this. Now, make lots of examples because you might find that something works a little bit better for your design or others. It's okay if it makes a mistake. The nice part is it's kind of gonna look different every time. So you're making a unique piece of art every time you work with it, and you got a little bit of science to go with it as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed doing some fun crafting and sciencing with me today, and feel free to check out our social media platforms for HMNS to see more of what we're doing to help you guys stay active mentally at home. Thank you.